Good evening, I'm Mackenzie Quinn.
And I'm Maximin Boudreau. This is Malibu 12 News. We start tonight with the hunt for a Santa Maria area man wanted for 4 murders. Police now have his brother in custody. A SWAT team acted on a tip the brothers were in the house in Nipomo, north of Santa Maria. They arrived before dawn this morning. The officers tore down wood fencing, then smashed windows to fire tear gas into the house. One of the brothers, Franklin Lopez, came out and was arrested, but the other brother, Rafael, wasn't found, and police say he's on the run. Police allege both brothers were involved in the murder of 49-year-old Cruz Sandoval, whose body was found on Saturday. Investigators say Sandoval had been stabbed and shot. Police say the 3 other murders linked to Rafael Lopez date back to 2015.
Almost certain there are people who know about, to some level, to some extent, about what happened in these cases. And I highly believe there are people that know or have information on where Rafael Lopez might be. And he is wanted right now for the murder of 4 different people. So it is of the highest importance that they call in. They can remain anonymous if they want. But I certainly believe there are people that know and have information that could help us out.
The SWAT raid also involved the search of a neighboring home. Police wanted to be sure the residents there weren't helping the Lopez brothers. The search for Rafael Lopez continues, and anyone with information in his whereabouts is urged to call the Santa Maria Police Department.
Investigators are looking for evidence and trying to put together a timeline of a pursuit that ended with a crash in Montecito. The California Highway Patrol had investigators at the scene today, taking measurements at the intersection where the pursuit ended. Police say a Chevrolet Impala was being driven recklessly when it was first spotted in Ventura. The driver refused to stop and led officers onto the 101 North. The driver then took the Montecito off-ramp, and a witness saw 2 pedestrians clear out as the fast-moving car headed towards them.
The third didn't get out of the way and was hit and flew way up in the air, and she was hit hard. Oh, I feel bad for the lady. I hope she's okay. And it was a sad deal. Wrong place at the wrong time.
58-year-old Jennifer Jensen suffered a broken arm and internal injuries and remains hospitalized in serious but stable condition. The driver ran, but police were able to handcuff his 2 passengers. The driver is identified as John Hickerson, who, like the passengers, lives in Newport, Minnesota.
Road repairs are in full swing after the recent Sweetwater fire. Alcorn Construction is working to repair fire-damaged shoulders and barriers on Latigo Canyon Road. Days after finishing their assignment on Mulholland Drive, their goal now is to fix up the area damaged by the fire. Alcorn workers say they are working closely with SoCal Edison, who is dealing with the power line repairs of their own.
The Malibu Lagoon is no longer in danger of becoming the Malibu Swamp. The Bay Foundation and California State Parks decided to fix the lagoon when it started to become stagnant. After over 20 years, the Malibu Lagoon Restoration Project is now deemed a success. Senior environmentalist scientist Suzanne Good ran into a lot of controversy about the project in the beginning.
Intuitively, people think it's a terrible thing to put bulldozers in the lagoon and change things, but the issue is that it was bulldozers that put the soil in there in the first place where it didn't belong.
But this work created a healthier ecosystem without any dead zones. And now that the project is finished, residents are happy that the lagoon is healthy and no longer smells bad. Good says it is satisfying to restore and undo mistakes of the past.
A vast majority of American adults are overweight. One estimate puts the number at 130 million. And here's something you may not have considered. Our obesity epidemic is threatening national security. The U.S. Army says the biggest reason recruits are disqualified from the military service is that they're too fat. That's a third of men and women ages 17 to 24 volunteering for the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guard. The Army's report predict the rising number of overweight younger men and women is now starting to weigh heavily on the military's ability to stay ready and effective.
There's a new and conflicting finding out today on cell phones and cancer. Is there really any connection? 2 federal government agencies are offering answers that conflict. And the National Institute of Health just spent $25 million to discover the type of radiation mobile phones emit can cause malignant tumors in rats. But that's only in the male rats that were tested, and the FDA scoffs at that finding. It says, in this case, what applies to rodents doesn't necessarily apply to humans. The FDA contends cell phones are safe.
A large structure is going up at the Santa Barbara Zoo, a new home for some very tall animals. Maybe you've noticed it while driving around the bird refuge. It'll be a new housing for the zoo's Maasai giraffes, mainly the large male, Michael. He is considered the most genetically valuable male Maasai giraffe outside of Africa. 7 giraffes have been born at the zoo since 2012. The new home for Michael and his companions should be complete in about 2 months.
And that's a big order to fill, but do you tip your Starbucks bartender? Although coffee shop tips used to be more common when cash was the norm, the switch to mobile has created a divide. The Specialty Coffee Association and Square, a credit card processing company, did a study on this. They found that the average tip for coffee is about 11%, although it varies by state. While some people may think that a barista does less work than a waiter, keep in mind just how complicated those drink orders can get. I know I order 2 shots almond milk espresso, so a little bit of chocolate in there. Do you order any coffee?
No, but I do tip my bartender, but I don't tip my barista.
Well, you should tip everybody, and here's a tip for you too. Make sure that you tip your coffee drinkers. That's all for us now. More news at 11. I'm Mackenzie Quinn.
And I'm Maximilian Boudreau. Good night.